Okay, here we go. Let's see. Do we got sound from the microphone? Looks like we do. Going to OBS. We don't have any desktop sound. I don't hear myself from anywhere. We can pause this maybe. Okay. So I'm jumping straight in today. PR reviews, kind of picking up where I left off a bit this morning. I didn't stream this morning, but I did follow up on a couple of different PRs, and I'm basically just working my way through the rest of the ones that are new since the last week, basically. So I have a couple of tabs open. Oh, I meant to grab devices. Let's see. So one of the ones I have open is NeoTrellis. I figured we could test this. I'll look at some others first. This is ESP32 Spy. We can take a look at this. We can try it out on a PyPortal. This one is for typing. Julian Ortel. Thank you, Julian Ortel, for doing a typing PR. First time, I think. I don't recall ever seeing that name, Julian. I don't know if they've contributed to other libraries, CircuitPython, or maybe this is their first thing. I don't recall seeing it. Thank you to Julian Ortel, though. Definitely always appreciate help on the typing, for sure. I also changed doc strings to better conform to PEP 257. The style I chose should conform nicely to Sphinx. Able to determine a standard set. Let's see. I mean, it looked like it passed. It must have built the doc, so. Alright, NPR. What is this device, too? I don't think I've heard of this. Module NPR Capacitive Touch. Kind of curious what this looked like. Doesn't matter that much for the purposes of reviewing the PR, but NPR, what was it? PR 121? Oh, okay, a bunch of gator clip things. I see. Huh. So I don't have the hardware, so we won't be able to test it. We will look through some of this. I'm not sure. Eggs. Generally, we want to keep the get ignored the same, I think. Um, I think these generally we don't want to. I mean, they will change over time, but I think the idea is to change them all at once. They should all be equal to each other. So let's check another library and see if maybe it's already been changed in another library. In the other libraries more generally. I don't know, I look at display text a lot, just as a random library for stuff. 2 days ago. So yeah, we do have black, or no, reuse 0.14. Yeah, I think we want to. Think probably. Actually, I think that was 214. This one maybe. Oh no. Oh yeah, 211. Okay. Can we do this now? I know there was something added to the core to allow us to be able to run one of these. Is this what it was? Actually, no, for sure. Oop. Yeah. Okay. Hmm. Don't they need a... Does this count as a thing inside? Do this counts as a thing inside? I thought they would need like pass or something. I guess maybe the way these are basically strings allows them to be the something, though. I mean, I think we don't need... I think we don't need them, honestly. If we have an import error here because we couldn't import anything from typing, then I think we don't... none of this will get used, so we don't need to bother making it, I don't think. I think this would only be needed like if CircuitPython interpreter actually did look at the types. Then it would need something if it couldn't find these. Bus IO we can probably do inside of the try here, underneath the typing one too. We'll make sure that the only place it's used is types. If so, then it can go inside of here. I'm gonna make a comment here for now. I'll come back and remove it if it turns out differently, but I think as long as these are only used in types, then it's not necessary to actually declare them here. keep a eye out for bus IO too. I think probably that's going to be able to move up into the try, but we'll see where it gets used. Single channel on the touch sensor. Okay. Have our type. Channel is an int. Turns none. Okay, I see. This is kind of all part of the same comment. The if kind of splits it here, but really the red line's gone, so this is kind of all one thing. Instance of the touch sensor driver. Channel that it represents 0 to 11. I think that generally we avoid using get or set. Where is, let's see, CircuitPython docs. There's like a style guide type thing. Design guide. Naming, technology. See if we can find like properties. Properties. Okay, so it doesn't really have much about the language. Int, threshold int. Change from value to new thresh. Int. Set the, oh really? Oh, okay, it's not. Also changed from value to new thresh. It's int. Setting it returns none. Is this a different kind of thing than this? I feel like this should be... Well, actually... What are these? Still match. Look at this locally. Doesn't say there's like a fold or anything here, but I don't know. I've never seen... I guess these are types, but I don't know what they're types for because it's not the arguments. Never seen types just in the... Some here too, though, I guess. Okay, well, I think we'll need a test if that, so they're the things on self. That's what they are. In this case, I guess happen to match the argument down here. Don't. But yeah, they totally are still the things on self. We'll have to see if MPY can compile those, and then if the microcontroller has a problem trying to use it. I don't actually have one of these devices, so I won't be able to test full hardware. What was this again? This was the MS MPR 121. I'll order one of these to test it. We can do the build before. That part of it though does like want to, you know, worry me enough to want to be able to test on hardware to make sure that this doesn't cause any issues. So I feel like we had, I don't think we ever had this exact thing where it was typing, I don't know, are these attributes or the things on self? I don't think this was the exact case we had, but we had another case where it was typing variables, and at the time at least, something about it didn't work. Either it didn't MPY correctly, or maybe it did, but then when you tried to import it and use it on the microcontroller, it didn't work, or something like that. I don't recall the exact situation, but I remember something like that happening in another case where we had types that were outside of arguments and the returns, of course. but we're outside of those two things, the function arguments and the function return. So we'll want to make sure that that's okay. Put that there so it's a reminder to check it out. Oh, good. Fresh. None. I went through these ones already. Yeah. So then, yeah, I guess it's not a bus IO. It definitely is an I2C device because it gets made right here. Arguments, though, we do have bus IO. So there's our A use of bus IO, and so far the only one I believe is in a type. We'll search on it to make sure. Address could use a type here. Probably would be, I think, probably int. Let's do clone this so we can out locally as well. Don't think I've cloned this before. What? No. How do I do that? Weird. Never had it ask me to do that before. I guess this is the first new project I've opened in the new version of PyCharm. Oh. Okay, so we want to find what type is this? MPR 121. This is 160-ish. hex, but it is still an int. I'm second guessing the format for the right way, colon and then type and then equals. Let's see, where would be a place that definitely has an example of that? I can, maybe I can find a more general answer. Python typing with default value. Just there, probably, right? The way it looks like. Oh, well, this is the question. Let's find the answer. Second way is correct. Colon type equals value. Yeah. Register int for the value, returns none. Register byte array for the 1 int number 0 through 11 returns int here pin and return 12-bit integer value represent touch state of all of them. So you could use bitwise math to find out individual ones. Touched in number return boolean. Okay. And something. Okay. Another thing I did not say about the bus IO. It's the import. Yeah. That import can go. Okay. But yeah, a couple things to tweak. Import order, a few other things. The pre-commit versions and stuff we want to, I think, revert. Ignore, probably we want to revert. Other than that, we can make sure the docs build. Oh, interesting. Okay. I don't think a lot of our stuff uses this format. And I don't think I had seen the args colon header thing before like this. It's kind of nice the way that it lays it out here, though. I like it. Um, let's see. I need to do one of these days is figure out and then write down the actual command that gets run to build the MPY versions. It has this run build bundles. It has this, but I don't know what this variable is. So when I want to run this command, I end up filling in something else. Repo name. Okay. That did build. It's not really what folder with .zip in the name. Don't need to. This to our device. Let's see if we can import it. Restart maybe. Yeah, it does import. So I wouldn't be able to like initialize it unless I had hardware. I guess it's a CISA. If you use CISA library. Other one. There's a blue. No stem. Doesn't look like it. Let's use Seesaw. If it did, we could try to mimic it with just a blank Seesaw and then like at least initialize it, but like it's its own like own driver thing. Cool. I've never seen that before. Okay. So I'll try to get one of those. We can try it out as well. I gave him a good list of stuff to start with. Check back in on it next week. Or whenever they write back, if it's later this week, if they make some of those tweaks, I can get back to it. So let's see. Bunch of this. That one. Put my gloves on. Hands are a little cold. Okay, let's try this one out as well. Compatible socket. So this is meant to be merged after 166. It's already merged. Changes API, so it'll be a major version change. So it includes 166. Documentation error. Move deprecated non-standard methods. Make other non-standard methods internal. Move receive. RecV. Buff size 0. Not part of CPython. Move WSGI server code and example. Done on top of requests using WSGI or similar. Learn guide repo, and there's no use of this. WSGI server is the only code I found that uses the deprecated non-standard socket methods. The idea here is to stop making this being a standalone library for doing network code with ESP32 SPI. Instead, it's an implementation library used by other codes such as requests. The socket interface should be compatible with other socket implementations. We'll give it a look over, and then I'll try it on my device. We'll do a couple of the tests in the example script. We'll test a couple other basic things and what we end up with. There's some of the functions I think Dan was talking about removing. Buff size. It's no longer default to 0. I don't know if we want it to or not, or if it matters. Receive 0 both sides. Some bytes from the remote address. Figured time. Bytes. Move receive as much as possible when buff size equals 0. Part of CPython. Okay, so if I see, so if we're changing that behavior, if 0 no longer means read as much as we can, then also presumably it also makes sense to not default on 0 either. Got changed to private, available. Socknum, connected. File got deleted. SGI server. Moved from API. I thought that was an example. Interesting. So there was actually a WSGI server file inside of library. Ah, okay. There was an example too, which was also deleted. In server static index and server static color pickle JS. One thing we could do is maybe include that example if it's not over in WSGI. I think I ran this one day. Recall for sure. Having a JavaScript color picker and integrating that with the microcontroller, I think is pretty neat though. That's what it does, which I'm guessing based on, you know, some of the stuff here. I think I believe I ran this one day. It looks like it's gonna change the color of the NeoPixel. So there's a page with a color picker on it, and then when that page makes a post back, it will basically change a NeoPixel based on the color that's in that post message, which is a pretty neat integration, I think. Definitely get it doesn't need to be here, but it would be good, I think, to put it somewhere. May as well keep it around somewhere. It does seem interesting and helpful for people who want to set up some kind of like, you know, basic server remote control type system thing going on there over a web, over a local network or something, using a browser on their phone or whatever. I didn't really see anything else, so I think we'll do a single comment and then I'll also mention testing it out. Got charge checkout once 7. That our device frozen in, is it? Could be frozen into the Pi portal. Yeah, I don't have it here. I think it is frozen in. It's frozen. We want to actually not put it in here. Instead, we want to put it in. I see. Why it was here already. Sure. So let's start with the ESP32 SPI samples. There should be something in here, right? Like, okay. Need to bounce over here. I think the last thing I tested was a non-working network. So I intentionally made the network name or password incorrect. Let's see what we get now, though. There we go. Okay, so we got back our basic test page. We got back price. Thing looks to be good. Try that. Cycling local time. 13. Figured out the right time though. Okay. Okay. Why is a bunch of these behind it? Not on RP 2040. This was not written in 2019 for an RP 20. Like a copy of simple test. Ends have been changed. Huh. I didn't know it could set a host name. I don't know if my router will let it connect and set all this stuff, and I don't know the correct things. Set it to truthfully either, so that one for now. This one posts to Adafruit.io, but you need to have feed set up correctly for it. Which I probably have set up a few times, but I also remove it because I add other feeds. Okay. Let's do the requests basic test as well, maybe. test? Multi-cookie. Or, it's not for ESP32 Spy, actually. Okay. Maybe also grab a, Learn Guide projects built with the PyPortal library. This is kind of the level a lot of users are using it at, not generally request directly or anything lower level. Oh. Okay, I think it's gonna cache to the SD card. I have an SD card in it. Okay, SD card inside. I think the deal is if you don't have an SD card, you can use this, and then it will write files to CircuitPy instead. But I think we'll be able to do it this way. Oh. Huh. That's interesting. I guess it does, sometimes it registers a file change. Like it worked. Oh. don't know if the colors are supposed to look like that. $5 minutes. Or if they touch the screen. Do you think also it was made for Portal regular? Seem to be messed up though. Let's try to rule out whether our ESP32 SBI change actually has anything to do with it. Let's go here. Here. This. So now it'll go back to using the built-in. And let's see what if it does the same thing or not. It's showing this image fine, so it's not just like wholesale colors are broken or anything. Seems like only stuff that came from the network having that problem, because I assume this is the built-in image. So the question is, are we downloading it correctly and then not showing it correctly, or are we downloading it and it's a messed up version? We could also take the SD card out and look at it on the computer as well, maybe after it downloads. It's the good thing here, it's downloading to this file on the SD card. Oh, it did finish correctly. You get a name or something? Landscape with animals and boy and tree? Is that the same name as last time? The other one was like figurine or something? Say what the name is here. Wrath of Neptune. No, that's a different thing. I'm not getting the exact same images, but all the images we are getting do seem fine, so seems like possibly our ESP32 SPI changes do cause some kind of issues. Oh, we got an error. Sending request failed. 1 or 2. How long it waits. This project is a good example of like error handling with network stuff. Does a good job of like testing for the network to fail and then waiting for a little bit and then retrying inside of a loop, which is good like practical use case for network code. Do not know quite how long it does wait. I may 60. Yeah, full minute. It's a time.sleep, so I couldn't like just touch the screen to make it go. You Control C, Control D to restart it. It's either that or wait for it. I'll let it try again since it is going now already. Let's see. Oh, Nope, didn't get it. So that is a nice way to do it, like sleep for a while. However, I will say if you're troubleshooting something, it is nicer to be able to retry quicker. But as like a fully finished project to just put on in your room or whatever, 60 seconds is plenty quick, I should say, for it to retry again. Don't really need to go any faster than that necessarily, and it's like actually in use state of this project. This time we got the fetch and we started writing. If it's the same one as last time. No, it looks like it's always new ones. This is a lemon or something. I don't know. Number Nurembergisch rides. Nurembergisch Sporides. Put our modified one back. Like it's getting like weird repeated sections or something. This one doesn't have any like plasma colored stuff, but it's got these bunch of these extra horizontal lines where it looks like it's duplicating some of the data offset a little bit or something. Feel lock from a hunting gun. I can get one that's a little easier to tell. This, I don't know, this doesn't look like a piece of a gun really, but it does look like digital art kind of. I don't know, those ones we had earlier with the colors messed up also were more immediately recognizable as not correct, I think. Get one like that again or not? Oh, we got a sending request failed. Let's try again. Where you can find the original. Okay, so I mean you can see there how, yeah. I copied over my like the buffer is not aligning back to itself correctly, something like that. Like it's buffering chunks, but they're getting offset somehow. One thing I will do is we'll open the file on the PC. Give it one more right here. Let it do a new one and then pop the SD card back out and we'll check on it. But I assume it's going to be the same. Image is going to be out of order like that on the PC as well, because it's just downloading that way.